If you have ever wondered whether there is an app that tries to match our thought process instead of trying to mold our minds into a folder for structure, then the answer is yes. It's called Anytype. And in this video, I wish to share a detailed overview of the features of this app. If this is your first time hearing about Anytype, as an introduction, I'd like to say that Anytype is a private, locally stored personal knowledge management app that can sync device to device. I have made a video about why I use Anytype instead of other apps, and I'll link it in the description below. But first thing first, I said in my previous video that I'll keep posting updates about Anytype as I learn about them. So I'd like to start off this video with the big update that has come. First, just a few days after the release of the beta version of Anytype, there was a town hall held by the Anytype team. In that town hall, the Anytype team clarified some issues and provided some more information about the future course of Anytype. The first question was about the licensing structure of Anytype. Anytype has two licenses. One is MIT's open source license, and another one is a source available license. So the question was, what does this actually mean about the licensing of Anytype? What restrictions are there in the use of Anytype? The founders clarified that if you are an individual or a company or a team, then you are completely free to use Anytype without any restrictions. The restrictions exist only when trying to use the code of Anytype or building apps on top of the code of any type and then selling them in case of the code of the app, selling the code as is, or selling the apps built on the code of any type as is. This is what Anytype means by commercial licensing. It applies to any kind of redistribution of the code of the app for commercial purposes. Then you have to get the source available licensing from the any association, which is the Swiss organization of Anytype. This can be thought of as a membership fee for like becoming part of the Anytype cooperative. This is done to give the community of Anytype time to grow. And when the community becomes fully fledged, licensing structure will be decided upon by the community. This seems pretty reasonable to me. The second issue was about the pricing structure of Anytype. The team has mentioned that pricing structure will be competitive with other softwares of its type, and it will not be such that people are discouraged from using Anytype. So these are the two major updates. Just before publishing this video, Anytype updated a whole new version. I was on 0.33.3, now it's 0.34. So I had to record a whole new section, which is all right by me. Fast updates are always appreciated. All right, now with that done, let's move on to the main event of this video, which is a walkthrough of the features of Anytype. First, the downloads. Now the download is pretty straightforward. Just go to your preferred browser. I'm just using Google. Then type in anytype.io, which will take us to the website. And click this Get This App button. This will give us a choice of platforms. As you can see, Anytype is available in every platform. I'm choosing Windows because that's what I'm on. Please choose the operating system you're using. It is asking for the folder to download into. I'm just choosing the download folders. And as you can see, it started downloading. There have been many researches done about our thinking process. And it is said that our mind processes our surrounding space as different objects. These objects can be connected to each other through relations. And in keeping with that, Anytype is based on the concept of everything is an object. These objects can be of similar or dissimilar types, and they can be connected to each other through relations. Also, they can further be grouped together into sets and collections. These are the core concepts of Anytype, and I will attempt to describe them in a detailed manner. The download has finished. It took a little less than 2 minutes for me. Let's go to the folder, click on it, and it has begun installing. As you can see, since I already have the Anytype app installed, it did not reinstall the app, it just opened the old one. Now, when we first open Anytype, we will see this page. And for the first time, we'll hit join. After we hit join, we are greeted with the join pages of Anytype. We keep hitting next and then next. And we'll be given a recovery phrase. This recovery phrase is our only window into our account. It is a bunch of randomly generated words, and it is advised that we save this recovery phrase at a safe location because no one, not even Anytype team, has access to this recovery phrase. Losing it will mean losing access to our account. So moving on. After we have seen and copied our recovery phrase, you can get an option to go to the app. I will not copy this phrase because I already have the app. You can also go back to the login page like I am doing now. Login, paste in your recovery phrase, and this will lead us to the app. Now, as you can see, when I open Anytype, I am greeted by Anytype's beautiful graph. But this will not be the case when you first install Anytype. After first installing Anytype, you'll be greeted with this sidebar and a dashboard. If you ask me how to change the home page or landing page to the graph view, then the answer is we do this from the space setting. We can access the space settings from here. And in here we can see that this home page has this drop-down menu. I have changed the settings of this drop-down menu to graph view. We can choose any type of object to be our home page. If we want, we can even set the last open page to be our home page. Now, while we are on the space settings, I'd like to just mention that in here we can change the profile picture of our space, add a custom link to our page, choose to import or export data. As we know, Anytype's data is stored locally on our device and it syncs device to device. But the media we upload into our Anytype, there is, I think, currently a limit on how much media we can upload. You have two options. First is if we can self-host, then we can just keep using our choice of syncing providers to sync our data. Or we can ask Anytype to increase the syncing amount, though it is not final yet. And the team, they're mostly concentrated on developing the code base of Anytype at the moment. But I will clarify again, this syncing is only for the media like images and audio and movies that we upload into Anytype. Our files that we write and type into Anytype will sync forever across our devices without any limit. And also there are some space information which are necessary for the functioning of Anytype. I said at the beginning that when we first get the app, we will be greeted with the sidebar and the dashboard. But the dashboard did not look like this in the beginning. It had this cover and the icon looked like this wave. And the name of the dashboard was just my dashboard, and the rest of the dashboard was empty. Since then, I have obviously customized the dashboard to my liking. You can change the cover. You can upload a new picture, choose from the library of the pictures that we have already uploaded, and also we have access to Unsplash. Now to change the cover, just go to this change cover menu and I am uploading a picture. Click this upload picture button and choose a picture you like. Hit open and that will replace the picture. You can also reposition the picture to make the part you want more visible. This should be very familiar to the Notion users. As you can see, I am already changing the icons and adding an emoji in front of my dashboard name and then just typing in my new dashboard name. As I have mentioned before, the rest of the dashboard was empty. I have just linked different objects that I use frequently to this dashboard. And as you can tell, the objects that are linked into a page, like the dashboard page, can be customized to have backgrounds and icons so that they look like buttons, which is a nice touch. So now we know that we can access the graph if we set the graph as our home page. But let's say we want to set the dashboard as our home page. Or maybe we are working in some other object and we want to view that object in the graph. So how do we access the graph? The answer to that is we can access the graph from anywhere in Anytype from this quick access menu. This icon symbolizes the graph. We can click it, or we can also use the shortcut Ctrl-Alt-O or Command-Option-O for Mac to access our graph. When the graph opens like this, it will highlight the object that we're on in yellow, like you can see here. Now, while you're on the graph, I want to talk about this flow option. This is a type of flow chart like representation of our connections, which shows us which object the current object is connected to. In order to see a better representation of this system, I would like to demonstrate a time when I was learning to draw the human head. One of the methods of drawing the human head is the Riley method. And here's my page on learning the Riley method. And if you go to the flow chart of this method, you can see that it is embedded in the head drawing page and also connected to the YouTube videos about this Riley head drawing method. If we click on the head drawing page, then we can see that it is connected to not only the Riley head, but also other YouTube videos that mention other methods of drawing the human head. So this is like having a flowchart without ever making a flowchart. In my opinion, this is very useful for revising for an exam for students, or just getting an overview of the connections that you have in your knowledge base. This button or the shortcut Control N can create a new object, and also maybe we can guess that these buttons help us move forward and backward into our work history. We can also accomplish this by pressing the buttons Alt and back arrow or Alt and forward arrow on our keyboard. Now, if you're like me and use keyboard shortcuts a lot, but you must be wondering if there is a list of these shortcuts somewhere. And the answer is yes. It's in this question menu at the bottom right-hand corner. And here is the shortcut menu. If we go through this menu, we'll find not only the keyboard shortcuts, but also this markdown option. So here it's time to mention that Anytype is already markdown enabled. Here you can see the markdown commands that are already supported by Anytype, and use them if you are more comfortable with using markdown commands. This has information like terms of use and privacy policies. This also has a window that shows new features that are added with every update. And if you're using Anytype for the first time, there are these small hints that show up when you are using a feature for the first time. These are quite useful in orienting me towards the functions of Anytype in the beginning. This menu also has a link to the Anytype community, which is a wonderful community. If you want help, you can always go there. There is also a page with tutorials and official documentation from Anytype team. Now, while I was talking about the shortcut menu, we have left behind two of the buttons in the quick action menu. These are this button, which is the search button. The thing about the Anytype search right now is that it only searches the heading of objects at the moment. If you want to search the content within an object, then you have to enter into the object, then click Ctrl F to search the words within the object. Now this button is the account setting. Now if you're wondering that we just talked about this page setting, why is there another account settings? This is because how Anytype plans to handle collaboration and teamwork while keeping our data private. It is a cool feature and an exciting feature, and I will update about this as soon as it comes out. Well, now the first thing to know about the account setting is that, like the space setting, you can also customize the profile picture and the name. And there is also this identity, which is necessary for the functioning of Anytype. We can also log out from here. I want to highlight this. This is the place where our recovery phrase is. So if you want to log out, first you will be brought to this page where you can see and copy your recovery phrase so that you can log in again without any problem. Now here is also this QR code. You can scan this QR code on your mobile device and log into your Anytype app, but you don't have to have the desktop app to use the mobile version of Anytype. It can be used completely as a mobile app or iOS app. I will make a video on the Android-only workflow. I don't have an iOS device, so I can't make that one, but I think the process is quite similar. After the recovery phrase and this QR code area, we have our data management area. This data management area indicates how many local files we have, and also the place where I can delete our account. If we are trying to delete our account and not lose any of our data, then what has to be done is we go back to our space settings and open up the export data portion and export our data and save it, then delete our account. So we will not lose any of our information and knowledge. After the data management, there is this pin code option. What it does is locks your recovery phrase in the recovery phrase portion behind a pin code. Now here in the appearance where of course you can decide is the light theme or dark theme or system theme, and this automatical toggle sidebar is because the sidebar can be permanently attached to the side of any type or it can be hidden. And when it's hidden, this options allows us to appear and disappear as we move our cursor to the left of our screen. Now, this preference menu is very important because here is the default object type. I have mentioned before that in Anytype, everything is an object and these objects can be similar or dissimilar types. So every object is connected to a type. This type is like Anytype's folder, but this folder is automatically built. So in Anytype, making a folder and connecting objects into one place always happens as our mind makes the connections and corrals them into one set. I'll be talking about this in a little more detail a little later. And the next option here is this spell check languages. This spell check language part has increased a lot because Anytype has started accepting translations from the community. If you want to use Anytype in your local language, then you can join Anytype and help out with the localization project of Anytype by translating Anytype in your own language. It's quite fun. Next, I want to talk about the sidebar. This is one of the reasons that I'm posting this video a little later than I wish to, because this sidebar went through upgrade just a few days ago. Before, there was just one recently tab here, but now it is two. But let's talk about that a little later. First of all, the sidebar here has, of course, our space settings. These areas in the sidebar are called widgets. And among them, the space setting, the library, and the bin are constant. Everything else, including the dashboard widget, is fully customizable. First, to add these widgets, we go to this Edit Widgets menu, and as we can see, the library, bin, and space settings are grayed out, indicating that they cannot be changed. And other widgets that can be changed have this minus menu near them and the wiggle, kind of like Apple Notes. We can delete them by pressing on this negative option and add new widgets by this add button. We can select a set, a collection, or any other kind of object to add in this sidebar here. Now there is a choice of appearance. The compact list has smaller icons, so the maximum number of items that will appear on a compact list is 14. And the list view has larger icons, so the maximum number of objects that can appear in the list view is actually 8. I'm just going to choose a compact list and choose the sources set and add this widget. Well, now click Done to get out of the edit menu. Now the rest of the sidebar I have kept as I first got it, except there was a favorite menu here which I have replaced with the collections menu. Now about the recently tab that has changed. Currently, there's two recently tabs. One is recently edited and another is recently opened. So let's say on your mobile device, you were reading one of your lecture notes, you did not make any changes to it. And on your desktop, you were revising some course information. So next time you open your mobile device, the recently opened tab will open your lecture note and the recently opened tab on your desktop will open your course note. But if you make any changes to them, this will be added to the recently edited tab and sync the changes across your devices. I have found this useful in the last few days that I have used it. Now, next is the library menu. I have said before that in Anytype, everything is an object and every object has a type. Types are like Anytype's free-form folders. So you assign a type to your object and the app automatically collects them into one place under that one type. So here, as you can see, there is a search option where you can search all the types in use and also create a new type if you want. We can click on all of the types and this will take us to a menu where we can see all the default templates related to that type, the default relations to the type, and also all the objects that have that type. This template feature has also gone through an upgrade. Before, when I created an object and gave it a type, it would give us a list of all the templates that are part of that type and we would choose the most relevant template for that object. But now we have this blank template which is set as a default and we can use it to just start writing without worrying about the template. You see, this blank template is not editable, but that is not all. Let's just make another template from here with the plus button. Just keep it like this and go to the three dots menu. And as you can see, there is an option to set this new template as default. So this is useful in cases where maybe you have a journal entry type object and there is a template that you use for your everyday entries. But you have also made a template for documenting travels or anniversaries and birthdays. So you set the today's template as default and the other templates you can choose during the appropriate occasions. I feel like this choosing a default template feature is more useful than the blank template feature, but maybe others should find the blank template feature more useful. Okay, moving on. Now, if you go to the relation tab, we can also find the same process. We can search all the relations in our Anytype and create a new relation if you want. You can click into the relation and see all the objects that have that relation. Now, another thing to know is that there is this Anytype library in both types and relation settings. This contains pre-installed types and relations that Anytype comes with. If we find them useful, then we can just use these default relations as is. We can add them to our My Types by clicking this plus button that is beside them, which turns into a tick mark. And as you can see that the type has been added to our My Types. Then just remove button and move again to library. I actually started out using the default types and relations, then I modify them the way I wanted. Now, another thing to note is that these types and relations with this lock mark beside them. These are actually system relations and types, which means that Anytype uses them to function. So they cannot be modified, but the rest of the types and relations are fully customizable. Now, the last option is the bin option. This is quite self-explanatory. We have all the deleted objects in this bin folder. We can select one of the deleted objects and delete them immediately, or select all of them together and delete all of them immediately. We can also select one or all of them to restore them. So that is all of the sidebar. Before demonstrating actually creating an object, I just want to talk about this little ribbon menu at the top. This might not be part of the final appearance of Anytype, but if you're joining the beta version of Anytype, then there are some things here that I think will be helpful to know about. First is this file menu, which will take you directly to the work directory of Anytype. Anytype's code is already open source, and you can use it to self-host your data in Anytype. And you can just go find the place where Anytype data is stored from this menu directly without needing to go to the command line. The second one is this debug menu. In the last 2.5 years that I have used Anytype, I used this only once. When I was migrating from alpha to beta version, I was actually running 4 windows of Anytype at one time. That was because I was trying to find out how many windows can Anytype run at the same time. And one of my dashboards froze up, and using this debug interface menu, cleared that up immediately. I have never needed to use this debug menu ever again. It is a helpful thing that the team has put here. Now let's start making an object. You can make an object by clicking this plus sign here or just clicking the shortcuts Control N. Now I have mentioned that everything in Anytype is an object and every object is related to a type. So here are some default types like a page where you can start writing, a task where you can add your tasks and make a collection from here, which we'll talk about using later. If you have a custom type in mind, then you just add your custom type. But let's say I'm in a hurry and I just want to jot down some ideas and I have no time to think about these types. So what do? We just start writing. And as you can see, as I'm writing, Anytype has assigned the node type to this object by default. This has happened because in our account settings, under preferences, we had chosen node to be our default type. Okay, so let's continue our story. So we have added our idea. Now we have some time and we want to clean up this idea and write down our full thought on it and give it a title or an icon and color. How do we do this? We go above this object type button and we can find this layout button. If we click it, we can see that our node has the node type of layout. There are other 3 types of layout, a total of 4. To demonstrate what they're for, I'm just going to duplicate this object from this 3 dots menu. Write the word duplicate node layout, node type object to make it easier for me to find. This bar here is actually another search bar. We can type in duplicate to find our duplicate object. If we click it, it'll just open the object. But if we hit Control enter or control click, then it will open in a new window. Here's a new window. Now we're going to click the layout button and turn this into a basic type. See what happened. If we turn the layout back to node, then you can see that the type has become the first sentence of the object. And if we again turn the layout to basic, then you can see that the first sentence has become the title of our note. In the basic type, we can add an icon, add a cover, change the cover like we did for our dashboard and everything like that. This layout is most like Notion, but there are two other layouts left. For that, I'm just going to duplicate the object again and then change this layout, rename the object to be the profile layout node type object. The difference between a basic layout object and a profile layout object is that the basic type has an icon, whereas in profile type, we can add a PNG or JPEG image. This layout is usually used for people for remembering their birthdays or keeping track of what a team member is doing at a particular time. Since we're talking about team members and work, this leads us only to the last layout, which is the action type layout. I'm just duplicating the profile type again to make 4 layouts. The difference of action layout with the other layouts is that the action layout does not have an icon or a PNG or JPEG image, but a check box beside the title name. This is obviously used for projects. And for the tasks within the project, we can use the slash menu and then type in CHCK check to get a checkbox and then write out our tasks. When the tasks are done, we can click them done and then click the object as done. And here's our completed project. Now to see the 4 layouts side by side. This is especially useful when, let's say, we have a class and we just took down some notes in the node layout, which we then turn into a basic layout to make it into an essay. And then we converted the basic layout into the action layout to make sure we know the time by which the essay needs to be submitted. And the profile layout we can use to keep track of which teacher did which classes. Similarly, during our work, we can write down an idea in the note layout, which you can turn into a proposal in the basic layout and turn into an action layout to put the plan into action. And the profile layout we can use for managing our customers. Now that the layouts are done, we can see that even though we're changing the layouts, the type of our object has not changed. So how do we change the type of our object? Maybe we have created a quick capture type object. Now we want to turn this into a project type object. So how do we do this? We are going to go to this object type button. And the second option is the change type option. From here, we can search the types we have used, add a new type from the Anytype type library, or we can create a new type just right from here. So if the second option is the changing type option, then what's the first option? The first option is the open type option. This option opens up the type from the type library. Here you can see the default relations and the objects that the node type has. Right here is our basic layout node type object that we have created. Now let's go back and just change the type for demonstration and change it to the page type. Now if we click on the object type button, it is going to open into the page type objects in the library. Now the next thing is changing or adding a relation. You can do this from the triangle or corrections menu here. This menu has those relations with the log sign beside them that I have mentioned before. They are necessary for any type to function. And some of the relations have this yellow star beside them. These determine which of the relations show up below the title. As you can see, if I click on the stars, those relations will show up below the title of the object. If this is a node layout object, then the star mark relation will just show up at the top of the object because node layout has no title. Now from this menu, we can also make a new relation from this plus new button. Similar to the type button, we can search for the relations and get a relation from the Anytype relation library or just create a new one from scratch. So let's just make a new relation. So click this create relation button at the bottom and select type of relation. So relations in Anytype can be both properties and can relate one object to another. So for properties, there are checkboxes, URL, emails, tags, and status, and etc. There is also the object option. If we click on the object option, and then hit create. Here is the relation. And if you click on the empty search box here, it brings up all the types of objects we have in our Anytype, and we can connect to any of the objects, any number of objects. Now, another thing about relation is that we can limit relation by type. I'm going to just click the name, scroll down, and click the create relation button. Select relation type, go to object and select add type. I'll just add the human type and the image type. Now, why would we want to do this? Imagine that we took a trip and we want to keep the memory of the new people we have met and places we have visited in one place. In that case, we can make this type of an object where we limit the relation to humans and image type and make a page called My Awesome Trip and add these relations to remember our beautiful memory. So after choosing the human and image type, hit ESC to close this pop-up and get the create button and create a new relation. And as you can see in this relation, only the image type and the human type objects are showing up. Now this triangle menu is not the only place that relations can live. We can actually embed a relation inside our object. For that, we type in slash, go to the slash menu, type in RELA relation and add the relation we want to the object. Making a relation is not the only way to connect to objects in Anytype. If we don't have any clear reason to connect to objects, but we know they're connected, then we can just directly type the slash menu, type in link, which will bring up the link to objects menu. It will give us the list of all the objects in our Anytype, and we can search the object we want and add that object to this type. Now, when adding objects like this, we get the extra option of formatting this object. This is my favorite type of review. Card, add cover, and I'm going to also add the object type. This is going to make this button type looking object. Say, this is the same way I built the button looking links in my dashboard. Now, the next thing I want to say is that in Anytype, after we have made objects and given them types, Anytype automatically collects all the objects of the same type in the same place. To find this, you can go to the library and search for the type we're looking for. And if we click on it, we'll see all the objects of the type. Here is the list. Now, we have also added a lot of properties as relations to our objects. Can we filter our objects according to those relations or properties? The answer is yes, but we cannot do this from this list. For this, we can just open the object, go to this menu, and this third option will create a set or open a set for us. It says open a set here because I have already created a set with the object type page. Now here is the set, and we can add different relations to it. We can actually make new relation for this type here. So it will just add a relation to all the type that are present in the set. This set is kind of like a database. So we can add a view, change the view from grid to list, or even to Kanban view. We can also format the appearance of the Kanban view. The way I use the set function is by making things like content creation pipeline, as I like to call it. One of the limitations of sets, though, is that since it is just a query based on type, this just shows up as one object in the graph view. The objects within the set do not show up as connected objects in the graph, as you can see here. But what we want to see the objects that are connected, then what we do is go on this set button and turn the set into a collection. Go to the graph and you will see that all the objects that are within a collection appear as connected in the graph. Look at the page, it is huge. I use the page object for a lot of things, so it is connected to many things in my graph. So it is not a meaningful connection. So here is a demonstration collection, and we can make a new object in this collection from this plus menu here. As you can see, it is updating. We can also see this in the graph. We can also add an existing object or a set or another collection to this collection by this link to menu from the three dots menu in the upper right corner. A use case of collection for me is this. When I was learning how to draw about color theory and blend modes in digital illustrations, although they were all related to drawing somehow, but learning a illustration software and learning about color theory did not seem like the same thing. So I made a collection called Drawing and added those similar but different things to that collection. And with this, we have come to the end of our current overview of the Anytype app, because the team has mentioned that they're going to make sure that creating relations in Anytype is a more organic and automatic process. But I will keep updating about Anytype as the changes come about. I will make a more focused video on each of the features of Anytype. I hope this video helps you adopt Anytype frictionlessly into your workflow. Or if you're still undecided about if you want to use Anytype or not, then maybe this will help you make your decision. See you later.